Hi, welcome to the Interaxis channel and Interaxis.io. Today we're going to keep talking about stablecoins, and in this case we're going to talk about one of the big daddies in the room, Libra. This was brought about by Facebook, which created the Libra Association. They created Calibra. They got all these companies together to bring out what they wanted to be a stablecoin, and what they really wanted to be was a payment system. Before we do that, remember, we bring out a lot of content like this. We have a lot of videos, podcasts, what have you, where we talk about things in decentralized finance, cryptocurrency, blockchain, investing, regular traditional finance, all those things. And if you want to be one of the first to see these videos when they come out, please subscribe to the channel, give us comments, let us know what you think, follow us on Twitter at Interaxis8, the number 8. We hope to see you there. But right now we're going to go back in talking about stable coins, and in this case Libra. So what happened here is Facebook essentially decided to, in their words, they wanted to create kind of a stable coin. They wanted to kind of bank the unbanked. And what they saw was, you have the growth of WeChat in China, where WeChat, of course, is a chat app that a whole bunch of people in China use, and WeChat has a payment system where people can pay each other using WeChat. So if I'm chatting with you and I need to pay you money, I can just pay you. Well, if you're a business, if I'm buying food from you, I can pay you, using WeChat. And there are other systems like that around the world, like M-Pesa and such, that allow me from a mobile perspective to pay you. So Facebook saw that and said, hey, we have not only Facebook, right, but we have Instagram, and we have WhatsApp, which they purchased, right? WhatsApp. So they have all these that people are chatting on, conversing on, have businesses on in Facebook and Instagram, and they thought, wow, this would be great if people could create payment systems. Now, I don't know if this is actually what they thought, and they've been trying to say, hey, we want to help bank the unbanked, which is kind of goes along the lines of some others we talked about, like Cello and Reserve. This idea of banking the unbanked, and Facebook says, well, we already have these people in our network. They're already using our systems. They're already chatting on WhatsApp. They're already chatting on Facebook, Facebook Messenger. They're talking to each other on Instagram. So interacting with each other, so why don't we provide a payment system for that? Well, of course, to have a payment system now, you have to have a stable coin. And so originally, what they came up with was they were going to have the Libra coin, which I believe the symbol was going to be LBR. You're going to have the Libra coin. Now, this coin was going to have a wallet called Calibra. I forget what the wallet is now going to be called, but you're going to have this wallet that you can interact and you can trade Libra back and forth. Now, originally, you're going to have all these validators, right, that are members of the Calibra Association, and they were going to have to put in at least $10 million to be validators on this network. And they were going to put in their money. They were going to get to validate, of course, all these transactions, because this was not going to be a public blockchain. This is going to be a private chain. So you're not necessarily going to have all the same transparency and everything. And you originally had members like Visa and MasterCard, and you had eBay, I believe, and you had other big retailers, and you had big money providers and banks being a part of this, because they thought, wow, this is Facebook, this is all these Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram users able to transact. We want to put money in. What do we get out of it? Well, originally what they were going to get out of it was every time there's a transaction, there's a tiny little fee. They were going to get fees. In addition, for them all putting in their $10 million, and they were going to accumulate, $300 million or something in this reserve was going to kick off interest, and they were all going to get a piece of the interest, right? So for being this validator, for putting this money in, you got a piece of all these fees that hopefully all these Facebook users are going to generate by transacting around the world, and you were going to get the fees, and you were going to get interest on this reserve. So if there's several hundred millions of dollars in there earning some return, you were going to get money on that as well, and hopefully it was going to be much more than your initial investment. Now, of course, Congress had a few problems with this. One, it's Facebook, so you're worried that they're going to take this data, because Facebook already has all this data that they've proven that they're willing to sell in the past, right? They've sold data on us, on our backgrounds. They've used WhatsApp, they've used Instagram, they've used Facebook, and they've sold all this data for profit. And now you go, okay, I'm going to add that financial data. Okay, so now you have data on everything that I'm spending, on all my financial habits. Are they going to sell that? And of course they said, no, we're not. The Calibra Association is completely separate. Congress said, we totally don't believe you. And everyone got all up in arms, said, there's no way I'm letting Facebook into my money. Now that's everyone here in the US, where we have other options. If you don't have other options, you live somewhere else in the world and you have a mobile phone and you connect with your friends around the world on WhatsApp, which I know I have a lot of friends around the world and we connect on WhatsApp, and if I could send them money through WhatsApp, I would do it. And if they could send me money through WhatsApp, they would do it. And there would probably be very little thought of like, oh my gosh, Facebook is probably trying to sell my financial information to some third party that they can use that data. It's just like, look, if I have a friend in some other country, it's easier to send them money through WhatsApp than it is to try to send a bank transfer. Now, we also know, well, I'll go back to that point in a moment. So now, the idea was they were going to create this Libra token, this Libra coin, this stable coin that was going to be basically the stability was going to be backed by several different world currencies. This is actually novel because most of the stable coins we've seen have all been backed by a dollar. And Libra said, or Facebook, Calibra, whoever said, no, we're going to back it with several world currencies. Now, most of it is probably the dollar anyway, but we're saying, look, we're going to utilize what's going on in the world economy and not put it all in the hands of the US Fed, and we're going to create this Libra stablecoin. Now, all that is going way, way back to 2019 when this first came out. And I say way back because in crypto and DeFi terms, that's like eons. Okay. Now, the next version that came out after Congress said there's no way we're letting you do this, we're not letting you, Facebook, come up with a stable coin that's going to rival the US dollar in supremacy, potentially. Well, there's no way we're going to let you do this because your association is set up in Switzerland, and we're certainly not letting the Europeans and the Swiss and anyone like that take over our role as the global reserve currency. Therefore, the association came back and said, okay, we'll play nice. Here's what we got. We're going to have things, and I don't know if this is going to how they're denoted, going to be how they denote it, the Libra USD, the Libra Euro, the Libra, yen, whatever it might be. We're going to have all these stable coins that are going to be backed by the actual asset. So ideally for every Libra USD, LUSD that is minted, there's a dollar sitting in the bank for it. For every Libra Euro that's minted, there's a euro sitting in the bank for it. Okay, so now this is now just a digital representation. It is only programmable money at that point. Okay, that's all. It's no different than what we see as USDC, US dollar coin that Circle has. It's kind of the same thing at that point. Then we're going to have Libra, which is going to be a smart contract, the value of which is backed by a basket of these. Okay, so I can potentially, if I'm using WhatsApp, I can transact with you using LUSD, or I can transact with you using the Libra coin. So say you're in another country that uses euros and I use dollars, we decide we want our transaction to be in the Libra coin. Now, the association is going to have all these backed. Of course, it's going to have to be audited. The other big change they made was all these validators now, most likely they're only going to get the fees. This reserve percent is going to go to research and development. It's going to go to stabilize the reserves, to stabilize the capital pool to continue to build. So what's the angle here? What's the purpose of this? Now the real purpose of this, of course, is hoping that people will start transacting that within the Facebook network, right? Within this network of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, people will start, there will be so many transactions directly on these using the Libra currencies, developing these transaction fees that all these folks that paid tens of millions of dollars to be members will obviously get those transaction fees, which could be significant. If you take all those Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp users and think about all the transactions they could possibly make utilizing this, because it's so much easier than using banks and potentially easier than going, okay, I will pay you, but it's going to be based on an Ethereum wallet, so I'm going to go send you DAI, so I got to go to my ETH wallet and send you DAI or send you USDC. Well, that's actually harder than just going, bam, I'm chatting with you in WhatsApp, here's 50 Libra dollars. Okay, and then the hope is going to have to be, okay, that person can transact, their off-ramp is they can pay someone else in Libra dollars. So the goal here essentially is to create this transaction system that has so much power, so many transactions going back and forth, that obviously all these validators make money, right? But it could become a problem, because if Libra, if this association ends up building up all of these currencies, right, in their stable in their banks, and they have all this power because there's so many transactions that they have to build up all these dollars and all these euros and all these yen, then they now wield a whole lot of power if they're holding all this currency, because they can drive prices down, they can drive value of the US dollar down if they want to. Right now, they don't really have an incentive to do so, but they kind of will wield a lot of power at that point. But their goal, remember, is to say, look, we understand that bank transactions are expensive and sometimes slow, right? If I'm chatting with you, or if I'm transacting with your business on Facebook, right? Because Facebook wants to add more business clients. If I'm transacting with you on Instagram, where all these influencers are and all these businesses are starting to have Instagram pages, if I transact with you on there, it's so much easier to use this integrated wallet. I don't have to know about cryptocurrency. I can just hit a button and pay. The same way WeChat works, the same way M-Pesa works, mobile money and such. So now the goal is to build this up, and you have the stability of these different stable coins that potentially creates this Libra. Now, originally the makeup of this to create the Libra coin was going to be up to the members of the association, but they've now said they would welcome any help from central banks. They would welcome any help from bankers and such to help create this. So it doesn't have to only be our association that does this, but the association probably gets a lot of the votes. They also would welcome if there's ever any central bank digital currencies, meaning the US dollar is digital, the yen is digital, the euro is digital, that it integrates directly here so that they don't have to go buy euros or buy dollars in the open market. They just say, look, we're just going to integrate directly in here because it's digital. Just when you mint it, just send it to us. Just put it in our digital wallet, and we'll create this Libra coin. With the idea being that this is going to be easier to transact worldwide. We get closer to a worldwide currency here because it's based on a weighting of all these other currencies. So if the US dollar is not quite as strong at some point, and the euro or the yen or the yuan is stronger, those weightings can go up, and it can more accurately reflect the worldwide economy, okay, in the Libra coin. And again, the goal is to try to have all these transactions such that these validators, these members, get these transaction fees. And it's in theory, it's easier, right? If I'm on WeChat, or not WeChat, if I'm on WhatsApp or Facebook, it's so much easier to transact that way. Now, what they've also said is users will most likely have to go through KYC. They will have to go through the Know Your Customer protocols, which kind of takes away that unbanked issue, right? Going after the unbanked, because the whole idea is if you're unbanked, you probably don't have all the government documentation to prove who you are to be able to use the system. Now the question is, in some countries, are they going to be able to get around that? Who knows there? But that is, a lot of that is to appease the regulators, to appease Congress, because Facebook has gotten their hands slapped in the past. And now they're trying to release this cryptocurrency, which in reality actually makes a whole lot of sense for them. It's one of the reasons why Cryptocurrency was created to enable this peer-to-peer digital transfer of value in a way that circumvents banks and circumvents governments and such. And it just says, look, wherever you are in the world, if I want to send you money, I should be able to push a button and do it, and it shouldn't have to go through all these pipes in the background that cost me money and time. It should go instantaneously because we're denoting everything digitally anyway. The problem is that in reality, it's Facebook that came out with it, and Facebook has a history of selling data, and Facebook has a history of trying to own all these pieces of the market, and the U.S. Congress doesn't like that. So if almost any other group came out with this, it wouldn't be so much of a problem. If Facebook said, look, we want to build a product on top of the Ethereum rails, or on top of Bitcoin or some other blockchain, it probably wouldn't be nearly as much of a problem because there's enough transparency there and there's a big enough network. But Facebook says, look, not only do we want to build this, but we want people to pay to be in. Well, who's going to pay to be in? Visa and MasterCard, and now Shopify and Spotify, and companies that obviously would love to have your financial data to be able to sell you even more products and pinpoint their products and use that for whatever purposes they might want to use it for. So I hope that made a lot of sense. The purpose of Libra is to try to enable currency, is to enable transactions through the apps that you're already using. By virtue of because they were started by Facebook, because they're kind of seen as an arm of Facebook, it's looked at skeptically because it's your financial information, and no one wants your financial information sold. No one wants your data to be sold like that. No one's quite sure what it's going to be used for, and because it's not a public blockchain, it's not as transparent, there's a little bit of a worry there. And then the question is now, since they've had to retool, are they late? Are they behind DAI and USDC and other Ethereum wallets that have already built out a lot of this functionality? Are they behind Celo in getting to those unbanked, because Celo has built a system that is mobile ready, that is built for mobile? Are they behind all those, or because they have the power of Facebook, the number of worldwide users they have, Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram, can they just plow over everyone and put their system out there and say, everyone can now transact in Libra dollars or Libra euro because we have enough dollars and euro in the bank to mint these tokens, and you all can just go transact in them, and then you can get it back to your bank later. So anyway, that's a little bit about Libra, which is kind of the big elephant here, the ones that really set the crypto world on fire last year when they launched and then had to go before Congress and kind of justify themselves. But they're kind of using what digital assets, what cryptocurrency should be for, and getting it out there and enabling easier transactions. They have just had to scale back on their goals because of some of their past indiscretions, and the fact that now Congress, the U.S. government, has said, whoa, we're not going to let you create your own currency because we've seen what you've done with data in the past and we're not super happy with it, so you're going to have to scale back. So it remains to be seen is the fact that they're still Facebook going to allow them to still plow forward with what they have in mind. Not only their Facebook, but they're all these association members who have tremendous amount of financial pull and political pull worldwide. Are they still going to be able to plow forward with this, or are they so far behind now that they have to play catch up, that there are other stable coins and other ways to transfer money and transfer wealth out there that they're already behind? And then the question is, are people going to build other applications like lending and investing and borrowing on top of the Libra protocol? That remains to be seen. I think it'll still happen because they're still Facebook. They still have a lot of pull with all these providers here. Some more have jumped in and said, we don't care, we're on board because we see it as an easier way to transact. We see it as a way to circumvent a lot of those fees that we already pay to the banks. Some of these people are our banks, and they just don't want to be left out. So again, that's a little bit about Libra, the Libra Association. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, give us some comments, tell us what you think. Follow us on Twitter @Interaxis8, and we'll see you in the next video.